Psychology shows that when intelligence reaches very high levels, it is no longer just about thinking faster or knowing more than others. It begins to reshape how you experience reality. At this level, intelligence is no longer just a tool, but a lens that shapes perception, priorities, and even your sense of identity. What's striking is that these signs are almost invisible from the outside. They are subtle, internal, and often misunderstood. Most people don't recognize them, and even if they do, they interpret them completely wrong. In this video, we're going to break down the most subtle signs, the ones no one talks about, yet reveal how a truly high-level mind actually operates. Stay until the end, because the final sign won't just change how you see intelligence, it may change how you see yourself. And if you want to understand human psychology on a deeper level, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because every video here isn't just about knowledge, it's about seeing yourself more clearly. Sign 1. Losing interest immediately after understanding. There's a strange moment that most people don't notice. The instant you truly understand something, your interest disappears. Not because it becomes boring, but because, in your mind, the process is already complete. Your brain is no longer searching. It has already decoded what it needed. For individuals with high cognitive processing levels, learning is not tied to completion, but to understanding. Once the core insight is grasped, everything else feels redundant. Psychology refers to this as rapid cognitive closure, a state where the mind quickly reaches resolution and then shifts toward new stimulation. This often makes you appear inconsistent or easily distracted. But in reality, you've already completed the most important part that others are still trying to reach. You don't need repetition to remember, nor extension to confirm understanding alone is enough. That's why people may misinterpret you as lacking persistence or getting bored too easily. But the deeper truth is this: you are not chasing the process, you are chasing the essence. And once you reach it, there is no reason to stay. Sign 2. Struggling to explain what you clearly understand. Not all silence comes from not knowing sometimes. It comes from knowing too much. To express it simply, you may grasp an idea almost completely in your mind. See how it works, how its elements connect, even anticipate its outcomes. But when you try to explain it, it feels like you're losing the essence of what you understood. What exists in your mind isn't a linear chain of thoughts, but a multidimensional structure where layers of meaning overlap, tightly connected and moving simultaneously. When you are forced to translate that into ordinary language, you have to cut, simplify, and flatten it. And that process creates frustration. Psychology suggests that in high-level cognitive systems, thinking becomes condensed and abstract, making it difficult to turn into words. This is not a lack of clarity, it is a form of clarity that exceeds the limits of language. And that's why, sometimes, you choose silence, not because you have nothing to say, but because there is no precise way to express what you truly see. Sign 3. Noticing invisible patterns. While others see isolated events, you sense an underlying order behind them. Small details, a shifted glance, an unusual pause in speech, a behavior repeating in cycles. None of these pass through your awareness unnoticed. You don't just observe, you connect. Timing, frequency, subtle inconsistencies, and misalignments gradually form a system with its own internal logic. What others dismiss as insignificant becomes data for you to detect deeper patterns. Psychology refers to this as advanced pattern abstraction, the ability to recognize structure without needing it to be fully visible. You don't need to see the entire picture to understand its shape, and that's why you often predict what will happen next. Not through vague intuition, but through a refined recognition system that you yourself may struggle to explain. You don't just see what exists, you see how things connect, operate, and repeat over time. To you, the world is not a collection of isolated moments, but a network of patterns constantly revealing itself. Sign 4. Feeling out of sync with most environments. Sometimes, the feeling of disconnection doesn't come from not belonging, but from moving too far ahead of everything around you. You enter a conversation and almost instantly predict where it's going. You observe a system and quickly understand how it works, even identifying its weaknesses, repetitive habits, familiar reactions, social scripts. They all become so predictable that they lose their stimulation. This isn't because the world has become simpler, but because your mind processes it too quickly, making everything feel familiar in a very short time. Psychology suggests that when processing speed and pattern recognition are highly developed, the external environment can feel slow from a subjective perspective. You don't need time to understand. You understand almost immediately, and that creates a gap in rhythm. While others are still experiencing, you've already moved to the next step. At times, this can make you feel disconnected, not because you are separate, but because you are no longer moving at the same pace. You're not losing connection with the world, you're simply operating at a different speed. Sign 5. Thinking in layers, not in straight lines. While most people think step by step, your thinking operates in a completely different way, simultaneous and multidimensional. An idea never stands alone. The moment it appears, multiple perspectives, possibilities, consequences, and scenarios unfold at once. You don't just think about what is happening, you also see variations of it, the causes behind it, and how everything could shift if a small detail changes. Your mind doesn't move in a straight line. It expands like a connected network. Psychology refers to this as multi-layered cognition, the ability to process parallel streams of information instead of sequential ones. This allows you to see problems more deeply and flexibly, but it also makes expression more difficult, because when you speak one idea, you are leaving out many other layers that exist at the same time in your mind. Others hear fragments while you see the whole. You don't think step by step, you see the entire picture from the start. And while others are still searching for answers, you've already recognized the structure behind the question. Your thoughts don't move forward, they expand in all directions, connect, evolve, and constantly reshape themselves. In the end, when you step back and look at everything, what truly matters is not whether you are more intelligent than others, but whether you understand how your own mind operates. Losing interest after understanding, struggling to explain ideas, noticing hidden patterns, feeling out of sync, and thinking in layers. These are not weaknesses. They are subtle expressions of high-level intelligence. The goal is not to change yourself to fit the world, but to learn how to use your way of thinking as an advantage. When you understand yourself, you stop being defined by how others misinterpret you. And when you learn to leverage it, you don't just think differently, you live differently. So the final question is, will you keep doubting yourself, or start understanding and using the way your mind truly works?